Looks like rain off and on all day today.
So I don't know about you guys, but if reading was hard before, it's even harder these days with our short attention span and all the distractions. So here are a few tips that I've come up with over the years of reading myself and teaching high school students how to stay focused and retain more of what you actually read. Tip number one, remove all distractions. And these days, that mostly means actually taking your phone or your iPad and putting it in another room if you need to, so that you're not mindlessly picking it up and scrolling through your apps or on social media. I can tell you that's a problem because it's a problem for me, and I suspect it's less a problem for me than it is for most people. So definitely put your phone somewhere else. Turning it off is usually not good enough. Actually put it in a different room, but also get done anything that needs doing first so that that's not on your mind, and then commit to putting everything else off until some other time, because it can wait. I promise, it will wait. Commit to that time period, that block of time, whatever it might be, 30 minutes, an hour, that you're gonna sit down and read. Tip number two, actually pick something you're interested in. Sounds obvious and a bit silly, I know, but too often people read books just because they want to say they read them. So don't go picking up Martin Heidegger or Shakespeare or Joyce just to say you read them. If you want to read them, fine, but actually pick something you're interested in. Okay, so you got something you actually want to read, but now you need to pick a place to read it. And that might be in your favorite lazy boy, but it might be outside. So sometimes all you need to focus is a change in environment, and it might make sense if you got a bunch of kids running around in the house to actually come outside. But if you have more distractions or noise going on outside, it might make sense to go inside and put in some headphones. So I definitely don't recommend that you listen to music while you read, but if you have a pair of these noise canceling headphones, they can be very helpful because it just cuts all the background noise out and you're left with your own headspace. Like witchcraft, these things. The phone's locked away, the dog's fed, the kids are entertained, you got the earphones in if they help, you got something you actually want to read, but you still can't focus. So try this, it always worked for my kids. Read the first paragraph or even the first page if you need to, out loud. Oftentimes that'll be enough to get you focused on what's in front of you. So much of the battle is just shifting your mind from its normal state into a reading state. You need to be able to translate symbols, which are all words are, into thoughts and feelings and images using your imagination, which isn't something we do on the regular anymore, so it takes a mind shift to do that. But you still have a problem, don't you? Our minds move faster than our mouths, and without our lips engaged, you find you suffer from monkey mind. Somehow, and it seems damn near impossible, but you just read 2 pages or more, and you haven't a clue what you just read. I hate to say it, but you have to start again, which is to say, go back to the last thing you can remember. It might be that first paragraph you read out loud, and read it again. Sometimes I find I do this 2-3 times before I retain the information. But what good is it if you've read a book and don't know what you just read? Better to read 5 paragraphs and solidify it and understand it than to read 5 pages and not be able to tell somebody what it is that you read. Now, if this still isn't working for you, you may need a crutch to get started, and what I'm going to suggest is to read along with an audiobook. So find an audiobook you can read along with, but actually stay engaged with the text. Read word for word as the voice actor is reading the story, and if you lose concentration, you need to pause, rewind, and go back and start again, just like you would if you were reading by yourself. So why even bother, right? Why don't we just listen to books on audio? Well, why not? Yeah, why not, right? Well, you know it's not the same. I know it's not the same. The science shows it's not the same, and you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you thought it was the same. So, for the sake of time, let's just assume that we all agree it's not using the same muscles, and we want to improve the muscle of reading. What else can we do to improve that muscle?
So if it's a particularly dense text, one thing that has helped some of my students in the past is using a note card to read line by line. And then in something as difficult or dense as Aristotle, you might want to actually take the time to read a paragraph, solidify it in your own thoughts, and then jot those thoughts down, a kind of summary of the paragraph, as you go. And I think you'll find that that'll allow you to easily flip back through and recall what you read as well, especially if you're reading for a test or something like that. You'll form your own system of annotation over time. I use underlining, stars, check marks, and then my own notes, and that'll mean something to me. So it might help you to read with a note card or pencil in hand. But lastly, I just want to say that doing hard things is worthwhile. I think that's obvious to everybody. I think we can all admit that. And doing hard things regularly will make those hard things easier and consequently more fun the more you do them. And reading is no different. And finally, and this might seem counterintuitive to you, but just give up. If you can't do it at that moment in time, get up and take a walk. It stopped raining, so I'm gonna get out and take a walk. And don't beat yourself up over it. I try to read every day, and that's a good habit to get into. Not necessarily every day for you, but a kind of regular schedule of when and where you're going to read. But when it's too much and you just can't focus, go watch YouTube or something. It's okay to give in every once in a while. And for some of you, reading just isn't going to be a big part of your life. And that's okay too. But it is worth the struggle. I promise you. It is worth the struggle. Sometimes these philosophers talk horseshit. Listen to this. Make sense of this, if you will. What we mean can be plainly seen by inference from individual instances, okay? And I like what he goes on to say. We should not look for a definition of everything, but observe the analogies. A bit scientific, but I'll go with it. It is as one who is building to one who can build, and as one who is awake to one asleep, and as one who is seeing to one who can see but has shut his eyes, and as something framed out of matter to matter itself, and as something wrought and finished to the unwrought material. What's that, Aristotle? Aristotle was notoriously wrong for some obvious stuff. Like, for instance, he thought women had more teeth than men, or maybe it was the inverse, but he could have just opened somebody's mouth and counted and never considered through. He just used logic to, for whatever reason, he thought that was true. He also thought angels moved the planets around, so not everything he said was true. Doesn't mean you shouldn't read him.